Rubric family, how's every single one of you today? It's Saturday, the weekend is here, and you know that like every single weekend we bring you the best interviews, the best possible content, and this week we have a great wrestler, we have a great figure, and also a pretty boy. We have a pretty boy, Doug Masters. How you doing today, Doug? Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey guys, pretty boys in the house, man, rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling. How you guys doing?
Oh, absolutely great.
Great,
like,
yeah.
Really happy to have you.
I've watched your show before. Y'all do Class A work, and I'm the pretty boys only on the Class A show, so it's a privilege for you and an honor for you to ask me to take time and to be on your show. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so very much.
We appreciate you being here, definitely.
Yeah, we're going to be talking to you about your career, about all the experiences in wrestling that you have. Like, you were a tag champion. We're going to be asking you about the current product, and you also have a podcast. So we're going to be touching upon all these things. So let's start it, like you in wrestling. How did that started? How was like that love begun?
Well, you know what, guys? It's like I'm not the only wrestler out there. I think all the wrestlers always wanted to be a wrestler. It's like if you were a doctor, you're just not forced in any occupation. You always wanted to be it, to do it. So all my life as a kid, I watched it on TV, and I got older. I went with my dad and my grandpa to the matches, and I thought, I want to figure this out when I get 18, get old enough to do it. And I remember it's real funny that when I was a kid, I used to try the moves on my sister, and I'd get in trouble. My mom would ground me and stuff, and I'd lay on the floors, and I'd pick up a pillow and have it hit me on top of the chest, and 1, 2, and I'd kick out, and then I go to pin the pillow or whatever, vice versa. So I was already infatuated with business, I knew something was going on, but I really didn't know, what it was like. I mean, now I know, all the falling's real, all the hitting's real, and not what everybody else says. But get back to what I was saying. If I get sidetracked, guys, don't worry. I got short-term memory from all the concussions. So if I start talking about a blonde from 3 days ago, just don't get all hyped up or whatever. You don't have
we'll carry you. We'll
all right, brother.
carry you for the match. We'll tell you what's next.
All right, brother. Well, anyway, when I graduated from high school, I graduated back in 85, I believe it was, something like that, 86. Anyway, when I graduated, I went to see this independent, back then I didn't know it was called independent wrestling matches. I just went to a local match. It was in town. There were promoters coming up handing out flyers, wanting to know if anybody was interested in becoming a professional wrestler. I said, hell yeah. I didn't know what I was going to do, what I was going to name, but I had it in the back of my mind I was going to become that. So it was funny. I had to get married right out of high school because I got my girlfriend pregnant, and I was working a night shift, and during the afternoons I was going to training school, and eventually we just kind of fell apart because once I got trained, I started, taking all the bookings and shots I could, and we got married too young. She was real cool about it. Said, it's fine. Let's just separate. You can do what you want to do because you know what you're doing. You're young. I mean, she was cool. And this day we still speak. And to make a long story short, when I got out of school, I trained through. I don't know if y'all know who Tommy Gilbert is.
Yeah.
Tommy Gilbert and Mike George. They trained me. Through a school called Global Wrestling Alliance out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I first started with Global, and then they come and kind of took me underneath their wing, and they trained me. And it was day one. They just picked out a certain amount of students out of the school, and the ones that had potential, they took them out of the wing, and didn't charge you nothing. After you left the school, they didn't charge you nothing. They trained a lot better than other people did anyway. So, I had to start out on the bottom, pay my dues, and it's just like nowadays, and I don't care how any old timer tell you, no matter how many years you've been in this business, you're still paying your dues some way or another. And it's honest, that's true. And I started venturing out on the outlaw circuit, taking all these. Back then, I thought the shows wasn't that good because it wasn't glitz and the glamour. But I was making shots for like Buck Robley, Sputnik Monroe, all the old timers, the old timers, you know. And I remember walking around the dressing room and old timers going, "Kid, you know, what are you wearing them knee pads for?" You know, I'd smart off saying, "Well, because I don't want to walk like you when I get to be your age," you know. So they'd double smack me up across the face, you know, and I just kept my mouth shut. Well, me and a buddy of mine, he went to a different wrestling school out of Kansas City, Bob Geigel's training school. Y'all know who Bob Geigel is?
Yeah,
world famous too, promoter for the NWA. Okay. So me and him was on a show together, and we kind of hooked up. His name, he went to Steve Stewart back then. He eventually changed his name. I'll get to that. We started as Steve Stewart, and we started going around all these independent circuits, making shots. You know, we got great breaks. We worked some of the outlaw shows, the indie shows around Tulsa and Colorado. Worked up for Rocky Mountain Wrestling Association. That was the first time I ever flown on an airplane, man. I was scared shitless. And we went up there and made 3-day shot. We thought we hit the big time, you know, and we paid our dues, and we keep a little bit of money. We put the rest into the company we was working for, you know, for just putting it back to help run shows, run our own shows. That's what I did. I kind of started out working for other promoters, but then I would start hanging with the promoters and bookers, and I would learn how to promote my own shows. And I'd rather, believe me or not, and I'm probably not the only guy to tell you this, that it's a lot easier to show up to the matches, get dressed, you do your finish, and leave than it is have to put the match together, have somebody set up the ring, you know, tear up, take down. Believe me, I set up plenty of rings. Took down plenty of rings starting out. I think everybody has. That's paying your dues. And so me and Steve hooked up. And y'all remember World Class Championship Wrestling out of Dallas, Texas? The Von Erichs on them. Chris Von Erichs on them.
The Freebirds, the Von Erichs that were all there.
Freebirds, Von Erichs. Skandar Akbar, we called him Mac. He was the booker then. He seen he was on some independent show. Working for, you all remember, he was a bootmaker, plus he was a professional wrestler. His name was, he wrestled under Wild Bill Ash out of Paris, Arkansas. He made all the boots for all the guys back then. There was 2 companies, one out of Houston and one out of Paris, Arkansas. Well, he owned the company out of Paris, Arkansas, plus he also ran shows. So we got kind of on the cards working for him, and Akbar seen me and him on the card. He said, "Hey, man, we shoot TV every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock and down in Dallas, Texas, Sportatorium, you know." And this day I tell people, you know, God, I don't know why they tore Sportatorium down, politics, I guess. But if anybody, back in the day, I wouldn't have known it. Now I do. Known it before now, that if you was ever going to be anybody in this business, you work at least once at this world famous Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. On them walls could talk, you know, and so we was doing some bouncing jobs at this clubs, you know, until about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we drive all night long, you know, to Dallas and stuff. Wind up down there, the Sportatorium. I don't know if you guys look too young to ever be down at Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas, but it didn't have no heater or no air conditioner in the building. So in the summer it was hot, winter it was cold. And if it got too cold, if it was below freezing, they couldn't shoot TV because it'd freeze up the equipment because you wouldn't even have it. Sometimes we drove down there and they wouldn't even call on television. You know, they just knew we was gonna show up. We did TV every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. So we go down there, and back then I was doing jobs for guys. One of my first matches was with Cactus Jack. I started out
you fought Mick Foley.
Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, went on to be Dude Love,
Mankind,
all that. Yeah, Mick Foley had some good matches. I started out with him, doing some jobs, putting me over TV, but he didn't really smash me. He gave me a little bit. I thought, I'm listening, right? So eventually they worked me up to this guy named the Texas Punisher. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the Undertaker.
Oh, yeah.
But that was him back, Mark Cowley. That was him back them days. He started out as a Texas Punisher. He was under a hood. I worked him. He did that where he walked. That's when he first started learning how to walk on top of the ropes and drop that big elbow off.
So how is that feel for you? How's that feeling for you, Doug? Like, for example, like being able to say that you wrestle all these great guys, like like Mick Foley, The Undertaker, one of the, you will say, two of the biggest names in wrestling.
Well, back then there wasn't big names. Cactus Jack was just starting out. Nobody even knew who the Texas Punisher was. You couldn't even see his face. And then I just was putting these guys over, and I was catching on. I'm putting them over. There's a reason for it. That we call them jobbers back then. They don't have them guys now. But they wasn't going out there just smashing me on TV or nothing. They was going to give me a little bit, and then they're finished and go home. Well, that me working with them. Finally, I worked my way up. I think I worked with Jimmy Jack Funk and the King Kongs, and Bart was going down there too, vice versa. And he had Steve, and he had his little slot he was working. And then eventually we did a show. They teamed us up as a tag team. It's the first time I've ever been a babyface in my life. I was a heel all my career. And me and him was a babyface tag team called the Lone Star Rockers. And he was working a show for a outlaw organization in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The main event was Gentleman Chris Adams and Terry Bam Bam Gordy in the main event. And Chris Adams, after the show, he was running shows in Texas and Arkansas, and he come up and gave us his card, and he said, "Hey, give me a call. I want to use you." So we went in, and he put the tag straps on us, just starting out. We're green as grass, man. I'm telling you what, we're running up and down the road with Bruce Brody and Steve Cox, Gary Young, this Gino Hernandez. We're getting really broke in young, and they're really giving us a good push. They're working us with guys that know what they're doing, and we're listening to them because they're the heels and we're the faces. So the heels call the match. Well,
is that how it was back then? Like the heels called the match? Is that how it always was?
Same way it is now, yeah. If you got nowadays, it's like if you got one guy that's a face and he's in there longer than a heel. Usually he'll kind of take over. But mainly it hadn't changed, It's still old fashioned. Old school's cool school. You know what I'm saying?
Bruiser Brody, how was that? How was that for you, Bruiser Brody? Was he a good guy? Like nice.
He was a great Frank was a great guy, man. He used to be a football or high school teacher before he. Frank Goodish used to be a high school teacher before he became a pro wrestler, and it was all right. I never worked against him. I was on cards with him, and he knew how to draw money. He was good and stiff in the ring, and he'd hit you, be real stiff with you in the ring, and if you didn't be stiff right back, he really hit you harder. He believed in eye for an eye, and that was good to protect the business. See, back then they had a word called kayfabe. You all know what kayfabe means?
Oh, we know that.
My show was called Kayfabe Corner. Kizzy Fizzy. They taught kids on him back then. They don't do it now. Well, I can still tiz off the kids on it, So we kayfabed a lot back then, and that's what happened. Nowadays, they don't even know what half the people don't know. I asked one guy one time at the show. I said, kayfabe. He goes, what kind of sandwich is that? And so I was wanting to smack him around, but I thought I better not. I hadn't got paid yet.
We will ask you about that. But like, see, then you actually got to the USWA, right? Is that like?
Yeah, well, I'm not there yet. I'm still working my way up world class.
Okay.
Right? Gentleman Chris Adams. We're working the Texas Loop. We're working. That's when Chris Adams had his school, and that's when, I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, saying, Steve Austin come up, and Chris Adams trained Steve Austin. Well, Steve Austin sits there, and they're treating him just like they are me, and we're sitting on show, and he looks at me, and he goes, Dougie, he goes, I don't know if I'm going to make it in this business or not, brother. And I said, good luck, Well, needless to say, my check never got as big as his, So, great guy that's still this day, real great guy. Chris trained him. He worked the shows. We was working on the same shows, so we still worked the circuit like that. And that's when I'll plug my show on the wall. The Lady Blossom joined me. Make a long story short, from there we went back to the Oklahoma territory and was working shows in between there. And we got a call. We sent our tape. Back then, there wasn't these little cell phone things or computers back then. You had to send your VHS tape. Y'all guys remember VHS?
Oh, yeah.
All right. You had to send a VHS tape in the mail, go to the mailbox and check it, and make it every day. Go to the pay phones, get your $50 phone cards, and call these promoters to try to get bookings. None of these cell phone stuff, man. It's easy nowadays to get booked, man. I see these guys nowadays. We sent our tape to Portland, Oregon, Pacific Northwest, home of Don Owens, Roddy Piper, Rip Oliver, Billy Jack Haynes, all of them was up there. That was our big break. They called us and they said, come on up here. We're going to give you a try, but we're not going to promise you nothing. So if you drive up, we paid our way there. We worked against each other, me and Steve Sawyer. He was a face, I was a heel. We worked our first match together there, and they said, hey, y'all's hired. Find your place to live. I thought, oh, shit, here we go. We've hit it now. Instead of working once every other week or twice a week, twice a month, we was working 4 or 5 days a week. You know, we wasn't holding down part-time jobs. We was making a living. We was paying the bills with being pro wrestlers, you know. And when we really, you know, that's when that was my territory. I really learned more than driving 3,000 miles, and which I had fortunate enough to learn in this area down in Texas and Oklahoma. But once I hit that territory up there where they was working 5-6 days a week, your craft got better and you was, you know, tuned with the guy you was working with. That's when they switched Steve Sawyer. Did you ever hear a guy named Bart Sawyer?
Bart Sawyer, yeah. That's your tag partner. That's your tag partner.
They switched his name to Steve. I was my gimmick. I told him, go in there and dye your hair yelling and hand out Butterfingers at the show. Some kids called him Bart Sawyer.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper come in one day and he goes, you look like a pretty boy. I had long black curly hair. He threw me a bottle of bleach. I bleached it blonde. And he said, blonde, hey, pretty boy, Doug Masters. And then Scotty the Body, which is, y'all got to know him now as Raven. He was the co-host. He was doing the co-host job. And he was sick one day. So the booker was the grappler and mask guy, Lynn Denton. And he told me, just go out there and take that job. I didn't know nothing about co-hosting no television. I was a heel co-host, you know. But brother, the words slid right out of my tongue like for days and hours. Thank God I had the gift to gab, you know what I'm saying? And Scotty come back and Lenny goes, hey, Dougie's took your place, man. And he goes, wow. So they made up the gimmick pretty well with me, and Alice Former rented me a tux every week. I wore that during the coach job. I started wrestling. They brought the pretty boy gimmick. How pretty boy Doug Masters' character was born by me going to a casino down in Vegas, which was right down I-5 from Oregon, hitting it rich, winning the lottery. That's how I come rich and famous, the pretty boy. That's how his character, Roddy Piper, made the pretty boy Doug Masters out of winning the slot machine. Back when the slot machines wasn't nothing. That's how the pretty boy character. I didn't get no inheritance. I wasn't no old typhoon or nothing. I won the slot machines. Well, it got on, man. Every week I had 2 different women up there. The proof was over. They had limousine. They'd bring me in. I was kind of doing the Flair gimmick because that's another reason I got in the business, because Nate's Ric Flair, the world's greatest wrestler of all time. And I always learned to be in this business and make it successful, you got to be able to do a great promo, doing an interview, we call them promos, and be able to work in the ring. You know what, Ron? We got to be one of the greatest pair of tag team champions the World Wrestling Council's ever seen. You know, we give these punk Ricky Santana and Rex Keane all the chances to try to take the straps away from us. I'll tell you something, boys. Next week in Coswitz, we're going to walk in champions, and we're going to leave still your world tag team champions.
Bueno, dice Pretty Boy Dogbusters que son los campeones mundiales y no hay nada que pueda hacer nadie absolutamente para evitarlo. Van a subir al cuadrilátero como campeones, van a bajar como campeones, porque son los campeones. Lo seguirán siendo y no hay poder humano que pueda arrebatarle esos campeonatos de sus manos.
Some guys can work, they can't talk, vice versa. But if you can do both of them, man, you got it covered on both sides. I could do both of them. So I was really fortunate at the end. I mean, they gave me a good push. We had an hour-and-a-half show up at the Pacific Northwest. It was on every night from 10 to 11, 10:30 to midnight. Prime after the news. We filmed it that evening at 7. It was an hour-and-a-half show. For that hour-and-a-half, either I was in front of the mic talking. I believe I sent you guys some pictures of me co-hosting.
Yes.
I was either doing that, plus I was up in the ring working. I was on that program. I got more airtime than any wrestler there the whole time I was in that territory. And I was unfortunate, man. Me and Bart caught the last ride of that territory. You know, it was the Pacific Northwest was such a great wrestling technical territory, man. You know, you had all them lumberjacks up there. You know, Billy Jack Haynes was from up there. Rip Oliver was there, you know. Al Madrill was up there. Steve Dahl, Raven, Scotty Body then, Raven, Rex King. Steve Dahl, Rex King become well done in WWF. And, I mean, some of these guys that started, they started out up there. Plus, they had the old-timers there. Easy shots every night. We was home by 11, 12 o'clock. You know, we just come straight home. None of these 300 miles one way, 150 miles one way every night. We was 45-minute trips every night. It was nice. It was cool. You know, Pakalolo was awesome, you know. I mean, it was the Pacific Northwest, brother. I mean, you know.
That's awesome. So, yeah, so then you go to the USWA, right?
From there, I tell you what, yeah. From there, the territory was shut. We, like I said, we caught the last end of it. They were going down to 2 days a week, and I couldn't pay the bills. So the booker there, Lynn Denton, sent a promo tape to Eric Embry. You ever heard of him? Sent a promo tape to Eric Embry in the USWA, and he was the booker there. And I got a call. I got the first call like 2 days later. Hey, come on, you're hired. Flew in. Got a car, headed to Nashville, in Memphis, Tennessee, the USWA. Tennessee wrestling been on forever, man. I mean, I thought, I'm really getting it going now. So once I got in, I worked a few days, and I was looking for a tag team. Called Bart up. He was a face there, and I was a heel. I said, they want to bring him in as a heel tag team. So they brought him in, made us a heel tag team. The champions at the time was Robert Fuller and Jeff Jarrett. They were the champions at the time. We beat them. They put the straps on us. We were heels. Now, get in mind, this whole time, Bart Starter was used to being a babyface. He wasn't used to being a heel, so we didn't kick. That's why we didn't keep the straps that long. We didn't click. He wanted to shake hands and kiss the babies, and I wanted, you know, to be mean. I wanted to be in character as a heel, and he wanted to be a face, and we needed to be two heels. So they worked programs with the Moondogs. Tom Pritchard was there, Eric Embry, Tony Falk. The Sandman was there. I was talking about today, our USW days. He was making a comment today when I was talking to him on it. I said, hey, remember me from USWA? And he goes, you're the one that taught me how to smoke pot and drink beer before I got in the ring to wrestle, you know? So I said, he was telling on this show, he's telling his gimmicks while go on Facebook, and he's telling a story about me breaking him in like that. And just, you know, phenomenal. I mean, look how far the Sandman went, you know, and so we worked that territory, and then finally, Eric Embry come in and said, when y'all need to turn face? And I looked at him, and I said, he already is. So they worked the gang war against us, you know, to split the tag team up, where, you know, it was me and him. Here we are, song and dance again. 1 week, the Indian strap match. Next week, coal miners match, lumberjack match. Eventually, we got our notice. He goes, I send you guys to Puerto Rico and work for the World Wrestling Council, Carlos Colon and Joe Vica. And I said, I'll go. And Bart goes, no, I don't want to go down there. I've heard bad things about that, you know. And so he went back to Portland. I went down to Puerto Rico. Dick Murdoch was the booker there. Remember Dick Murdoch?
Yeah.
World Wrestling Council. And, you know, I know everything what happened to Brody down there, you know. Bad situation. It's a bad island. It's a mean island. I never had no problem with the people because I treated them with respect outside the ring. They went down there and they put me with a guy named Ron Starr, who'd been in the business 20 more years longer than I had. So he took me under his wing. They put I think I sent you some matches of us down there against Ricky Santana and Rex King and Steve Dahl and Vader and a lot of Spanish guys down there. It's funny. Some of the Spanish guys, they couldn't even talk wrestling in Spanish in the ring, so you had to translate spots to the referee, and they'd tell them in Spanish, And then I didn't know Spanish that well. The only thing I knew in Spanish was get cussed out, you know. And so you didn't know if they was telling the right spot or not. But sometimes I don't know if they would or not, but we worked it out somehow. So we stayed there, I don't know, back and forth. And then Ron left, and then I kept going back and forth for over 9 years, I think. Something like that, back and forth down there. And I just loved it. I would come back to the States. I'd leave here in the winter and go back down to the Caribbean in the summer, you know, and I just lived that life for a long time. And then I started running my own shows around Oklahoma. I did shots for the WWE. When it was the WWF, I did.
You had some velocity matches, right? You did some velocity matches.
Yeah, did some of them like that.
How was like working with Vince McMahon? How did you like that?
He business. He's entertainer. He run the business. He run kayfabe. He runs the work, but he's a businessman. He's really, I mean, he's a billionaire businessman. You know.
Well, did you get along with him, or like is he a really tough man to get along with?
Vince, you know, every night we had a catering service bring us a meal. He told the caterers what we had to eat that night. He said what we ate. So whatever the say-so was, you could tell him you had an idea for an angle. If he went through Vince, no matter who was in charge, Vince had the last say-so. I don't know how it was now. That was how it was back then. You had Pat Patterson was there, Vince. Oh, Sergeant Slaughter was there, and then Jim Ross once he come there. How
was working alongside Jim Ross? Did you like it?
Oh, he was good. Jim Ross started out as a referee back in the late '60s, early '70s. Jim Ross is from Westville, Oklahoma, about 3 hours from where I live at now. He's Okie too.
Big fan of the Sooners. Big fan of the
great fan. So am I. Go Sooners. Hook 'em horns.
Yeah.
Toby Keith. You know, I mean, you said all these country stars here, singers here, go to the Dr. Death, you know, Steve Williams come from OU, you know, Barry Switzer. They did Bill Watts. That's another person I work for down here. Bill Watts, in the Mid-South. I mean, I just got so fortunate. I'm old school, you know. That's what they call me, old school. I can talk to these guys nowadays. You can tell the ones just the way they lace up their boots, if they're old school or new school but it's, you know, I go to some of the matches now. I've had so many surgeries right now. I manage every once in a while. I take a bump every now and then. I get in there. I can work on the mic. I've been on some organizations doing the color commentary like I did in Portland, which I like doing that. And, you know, Pretty Boy's never going to get any uglier, you know. So I just keep running with Pretty Boy. The only other Pretty Boy in this business was Pretty Boy Doug Summers. Yeah, he's passed away now, so I'm the only Pretty Boy. There was Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Nature Boy Buddy Landell, and Nature Boy Ric Flair. There was only 2 Pretty Boys, and I'm the only one left that I know of. I think it is. So I run with it, man. So
you gotta pass the gimmick along to somebody else, though. You like so you can.
Oh, I know. Legacy. I haven't found nobody that can carry it, or there's going to be somebody one day. But
the Pretty Boy Jean Paul Legg right there.
Yeah.
The blondie,
yeah,
right
maybe.
You know,
who knows? Well, like you said, you know, you got to keep it alive, keep the prestige.
Got to keep it alive. Yeah. I know that Nate. You know, I'm talking about Ric Flair.
Of course, yeah.
We're
Nate, pretty old school. We're pretty old school, Pretty Boy. Yeah, okay, we know all the old school. We're good. Yeah.
All right, cool.
We were like old school too.
Nate's passed the Nature Boy gimmick down to somebody down in Georgia or something and told him he could do it. So, I mean, yeah, nobody's even come up and asked me or nothing. But, you know, I do a podcast now. I do Thursday nights on the Action VR Network, 7 p.m. Central Time, called Pretty Boy Doug Masters Kayfabe Corner. And I do that. And I have old school guests. And I've had a few of the Indian guys, but mainly I'm old school. My format, I don't know if you listen to the Steve Austin's podcast, but my format's like his. I do commercials for the show, then just do the whole show. So I don't do the Zoom, I don't do the Facebook, I just do radio. So I mean, I like the format you guys are doing. So I just stick to old school, man.
No, yeah, we appreciate it. Like, but tell me a little bit about how your experience in Japan.
Oh, sake, very good. Sake, good. Oh, yeah, in Japan, people are real little, sake very good. Real respectable. In Japan, it's real funny, you know. You go into somebody's house, and it's just like the movies. They sit on the floor and eat, and they take your shoes off for respect. But they start training for the pro wrestling business when they're out in grade school. It's called the Dojo Dome. They start the dojo. They start training in, and most of them, their fathers and grandfathers and grandmothers was professional wrestlers, and it's great. You know, it's funny, man. Abdullah the Butcher, they used to be scared of him to death, but he turned face and they'd love him to death. It just depends. I mean, it's a different. There, they don't cheer, they don't clap. If you do the high spot real good, they go wow, wow. You hit somebody, they don't wow, they go wow, wow. You hear that a lot. And they cheer real fast, you know. Like you might do a nip up and they'll cheer, or give a guy a tackle, drop down, hip toss, move on the elbow, give me an arm drag, and they'll cheer you. They just don't sit there, you know, say boring or whatever. They really respect the professional wrestler, and they're real nice, and they're honest, great paying company. They pay real well, and yeah, New Japan. Was over there. There's like 30-some companies there, but you really just hear New Japan anymore. And then Baba had his company, but main one you hear nowadays is New Japan. But there's 30s and 40 companies that's over there that you don't hear about.
Oh yeah. So like, tell me now, like, how do you feel about like your finisher used to be the pile driver? How do you feel that the fact that like the pile driver is now banned? Like now on WWE, like not some promotions do use the pile driver, but then not everybody does it.
I tell you what, that's funny. When I went to work in Tennessee, the power driver was outlawed in Tennessee. Dundee and Lawler had, if you got fired if you power drive somebody. So I had to, they put me with Bart Sargent and we become a tag team, and we had a different finish. But I always liked the power driver. But power driver, you know, you see what happened to Steve Austin, about killed him, you know, when that little incident with Owen Hart. God rest today's anniversary of Owen's death, too.
Yes.
God rest his soul. And it's just something you got to know. That's why I tell people, don't try this at home. I preach this hundreds of times. I say that on my podcast. Please, I don't care how old you are, do not try this at home. You're professionals. If you don't look in the mirror and talk trash to somebody, the garbage dude, do that. I hope you don't throw you in the garbage can. But, you know what I'm saying? Just do not try these moves at home, you know. It's just we're professionals. You go on it where they're hurting somebody or kill somebody, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's what's great about this. It's the greatest sport of all time, guys, because there's no pads. You get your knee pads and elbow pads. We have no helmets, you know, no shoulder pads. We got titanium. We've got a lot. We're more over than football players. The professional wrestlers nowadays, it's not like it was back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. I started in the mid to late 90s. I always thought I wish I would have started back in the 70s with Flair and Race and all of them. I just started a little bit too late, but I didn't. I caught the tail end of so I'm still keeping old school, cool school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's what I'm doing, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give me some T-shirts made up old school's cool school.
Yeah, what you should do. That should be a new venture for you. But like, tell me about your take on the current product. What do you watch, like WWE? Do you watch AEW, or do you watch NWA Power? What is the one promotion that you like to watch?
Oh God, AEW. I like them. What I liked about the Rhodes family, Cody. He was too young when I was in. His daddy, I was around. Dusty Rhodes was great for the business. He was the first guy that been in the gimmick matches. He had the bull rope matches, you know, the Texas Death matches. He invented them matches. You know, he had so much charisma for a guy that was when I was living with Dick Murdoch down in Puerto Rico. He told me so many Dusty Rhodes stories. You know, for somebody who was the son of a plumber, it's ironic. My dad owned the plumbing company. I'm a son of a plumber. You know, and he did so much back then. It was awesome. Nowadays, they've killed kayfabe so much. You know, people go there to get entertainment. Vince McMahon ruined that. I'm not the only one that said Vince McMahon ruined entertainment. People went on national TV and said it. So, Vince, you run kayfabe. So, I'm not the first one to tell him that. I won't be the last, But, his checking account's a lot bigger than mine. Product A&W's good. They got a pay-per-view Double or Nothing tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be covering. We'll be covering.
Y'all going to be watching? Okay, it's going. Jake Roberts is working for them there. They got Arn Anderson there. DDP's working in the office. Ross is there. Savani. They got the old school there working in the office. And that's great, man. I like that product. I watched Smackdown last night, and my hat's off to the people, man. They're working in front of no crowd, They got 2 announcers out there. I mean, it's got to be hard to sell. But, the crowd, you go a heel or a face, you go off the crowd, and you can tell they've got used to it, man. It's like they're earning their money 3 or 4 times. The best diva they got right now in the professional wrestling business is Charlotte Flair. And I'm not biased because of Nate. I worked him one time in my life. He was in Mid-South Coliseum. And but Charlotte, I watched her match last night for a little bit, caught bits and pieces of that. Raw, I don't really watch Raw. I watch SmackDown more than I do Raw. But like I said, I just watch bits and pieces of it. I catch A&E on YouTube and all that. And then the NWA Power, Tim Storm, the champion, he's been on my podcast. He's a good friend of mine. I started out with Tim Storm. And he was on my podcast about 3 months ago, and we talked about old school. And a lot of the guys on that Power I started out with. So, I got it in June 1st. I go back to the neck doctor, my surgery, and they're going to decide when they're going to fuse these last 4 vertebrae together and stuff. And I'm going to try. I want one more run at it. I want one more run. The Pretty Boy needs a run. I want a tag team. I want a tag team to manage called the Pretty Boys. You know what I'm saying? I need to. I want to be a manager. I want to be like a James Day Dillon manager.
That's
awesome. I could definitely see that in like an NWA because, like you said, you know a lot of guys there, and I mean, like that's a promotion I feel really caters to the old school because they know like AEW is like a mix. I feel when I watch it, I'm like I see some old school, but then they also are trying to attract like the newer, younger fans. But NWA Power, they're like, you know what? We don't care. We just want the old school. And that's the vibe they go for. So I could definitely see it. And like you said, the Pretty Boys got to have one more run. You got to get one more run.
Brother. I'm going to do mine on the mic and managing these guys. And the best guy, it's going to be in between a Bobby Heenan. I ain't going to be that war gimmick. God rest Akbar. Great. Ak was awesome. He taught me a lot and he taught me how to be a man, Akbar did. In and outside the ring. I want to be a mix between a James J. Dillon and a Bobby Heenan. Mainly James J. Dillon, where they manage champions.
That's awesome.
I'm going to bring back.
Yeah.
Dillon was awesome. I want to bring back the 4 horsemen, and I want to have a tag team and a champion. I could bring in Tim Storm, turn him heel, be his manager, and have a tag team. Bring back that'd be 4 horsemen, 3 of them and 1 of me, or bring back the 4 horsemen. Just call it something else, But
remember, Pretty Boy, if we see you on NWA Power, you got to come back to the show.
I will. Don't worry about that.
Your check will be a lot bigger, but still got to remain, come back and stop by. Because, it's a good organization, I will say. It's a pretty good show. Yeah.
You got a great show going here. There's also a group, I'm going to say a little bit before we have to wrap it up this week about the independents that are running. I had Miranda Gordy on my show, Terry Gordy's daughter, 2 weeks ago. She works. There's a group out of Texas. There's 3 or 4 out of Texas, but the main one out of Texas right now is called the SWE Fury. James Beard works there. Tim Storm works there. Rod Price is coming out of retirement working there. Dexter Hardaway, Miranda Gordy, Najee Rabbit. They got a lot of guys out of Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas working there that's been in the business for 10, 15 years on the independent scene, and they're bringing back old school. They're bringing back old school rules. Remember when you threw somebody over the top rope, it was a disqualification. That's what they're doing. When if you get caught hitting somebody with the closed fist, it's a DQ. They're bringing back the old school rules, and I love that. I'm trying to get a job, James. If you're listening to me, I'm trying to get a job booking for him and booking talent for him, and is what I'm trying to do. And they keep telling me as soon as we get going, we'll talk something out. So Right
we hope
now,
James is listening. So
yeah, tell him to start getting something going so you can start talking it out.
yeah, like
that's it, man.
Cool.
Me and James cool.
It would be a cool, way to close your career. You will say, right?
No, I got one more. I got one more run. It's gonna be a manager type. I'll go in there and be able to take bumps and stuff. I'll be able to do that. Manager, I'm going to do high spot or nothing, but I'll be a good heel, cocky manager, and I'll be good on the mic, and I'll just be James J. Death while I wear the suit and look good.
Yeah, but you could pile drive a ref or something. I think
pile drive somebody. Yeah,
I could see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. I'll have a lady out there with me, let her do it, So,
there you go.
And that's another thing I love. I could talk about the divas all day long, not just because I love women. It's because, man, they're great. At one point here, about a year ago, they had more women wrestlers on top than they did men.
Oh, yeah.
In the WWE, So, I mean, and it's good work. The last 3 matches of the show were women. So, and I love that.
AEW is not bad either. Like, see, we were talking, of course, like Jean Paul and I reviewed the show. Hikaru Shida is absolutely great. Krista Lander is pretty good too. Nyla Rose she's getting there, and like Britt Baker, like they're getting better. Like they're putting like a lot of fight what WWE has to offer.
That's what they want to do. They want to. That's what their intention to do. Is put Vince. They're giving Vince a run for his money.
Oh yeah.
And I believe they're doing it too, and they will.
Oh yeah. So like, tell me about now, like how did you came up with the idea of the podcast? What made you, take the podcast? What would you wanted to talk to people? What was your idea behind creating your podcast? And tell us the name of it and when is it on and all of that.
Okay, thank you. All my career, I was at one point or another a guest on the podcast like I'm being on yours tonight. And thank you for the honor. And I was a guest on one. I was a co-host on one. Matter of fact, my co-host on mine had his own show that I was a co-host on years ago. And I was a co-host on. I had to get out of the business, physically in the business, almost 9 to 8 years ago, because all the surgeries I had, I could not go out there and perform 110%. The doctor said, "You get stuff fixed." I just had to take time off to heal this broken body up, man. And I got really bummed and depressed. So this network is called Action VR Network. They're located out of Coconut Beach, Florida. It's called Action VR Network. They're syndicated. They offered me my own show. And I thought, I don't know how in the heck to do a podcast. It can't be that hard. But I tell you what, guys, I know you know this. I talk to more of the guys now, actually, than I did when I was in the business. Because when you're in a territory, you're with the same crew for 6 to 8 months. Here, I'm with one guy from, let's see, last week I was with a lady from Canada on my show. Weekend before that, I had Miranda Gordy. She was from Texas. And next week, I got Jeannie Clark. She's from London, England on my show. So I got all my guests are from around these different other territories and stuff. And each week I mix it up. This month was a women's month. All women wrestlers was on this month because the Mother's Day was this month. Gotta love your mothers.
That's right.
Love them while they're here, brother, because if not, they'll be gone. God rest mine. She's been gone 3 years today, and it's the worst thing I had to go through. Sorry. She's in a better place now. She hated the wrestling business. She just hated it, man. But
I'll tell you something. My mother hates the fact that I like wrestling. My mother hates it. It's like, I don't know how you can like that. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
She goes, "You're my kid, so I gotta put up with whatever your taste is."
Yeah, well, take your mommy over every day.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, man. I just started this little deal. When I first started my show, I thought of a gimmick. Pretty Boy Doug Masters, the lives, ups and downs, and careers of being a professional wrestler. It told a little bit about everything: your life, your ups and downs, your career, and about it. But it was too hard to remember. So I like the kayfabe word, and there's 4 corners of a ring, so I just said kayfabe corner. So, and it caught on. Pretty Boy Doug Masters, kayfabe corner, So if they don't know me as Pretty Boy Doug Masters, they know me as Doug Masters. So most of them call me Pretty Boy. Most of the guys call me like that. If you know Nate real well, you call him Nate instead of Rick. But me, they call me Dougie. All the boys call me Dougie. So you guys call me Dougie. You're my friends for life. So we're
That's
brothers.
Right, Dougie.
We're brothers. There you go. We're brothers from another mother. You know.
If they ask, it's like, what do you like? I like Dougie. That's right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Dougie. Way up to, I don't know how it got stuck on me, but it happened. Man. All my career, everybody knows me as well. That is Dougie. You know. And so
it's a good place to be. Remember that. Yep.
It's good. And my show is every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, and we're live. My show's live. We're not. It's not going to be live this Thursday because there's a 6-hour time limit and difference between here and London, England. So I'm going to film. I'm going to record it at noon, but we're going to air it at 7. So, but yeah, it's every Thursday night at 7 p.m. I did have it on Friday night. The Smackdown was on. So Thursday night there's no wrestling on. So, and there's plenty of podcasts out there. I listen to podcasts myself. I'm on Spreaker. Yeah, I'm on Action VR Network, but I forget what it's called. The network's Action VR, but there's something else that's called that the network has to go on. You know, like Blog Talk. Well, we're on Spreaker, and Steve Austin's got his show on Spreaker, and there's like 50-some podcasts on that Spreaker. I sit around some days and just close my eyes and push one and listen to it and listen to their format. It shows you how many downloads you get and stuff like that. You know, I get 300. But I don't get much, man. You don't know how many people you listen to out there. But I guarantee you one thing. I'm old school, and every guest I got on my show has been somewhere in this business. It's either still doing it or people know who they are. So I always get thumbs up. Everybody knows the thumbs up. Next month is going to be tag team month. So every week I'm going to have a tag team that used to be a tag team together. If their partner's deceased, we'll still talk about it. And then the next month after that, and that'll be in July, I'm going to have territory month. For 1 week will be like Mid-South territory. Next week, Atlanta territory. People working from there. I'm kind of, every month I'm getting something different going. You know what I'm saying? I did Mother's Day month this month, all women. So I'm then around Christmas, I'm going to have a little midget month, you know, bring these guys in. So
you're going to bring Hornswoggle. You're going to bring Hornswoggle.
Yeah, all the old ones are gone. Old Tokyo and all them are gone, you know. But I have had a lot of the glow women, Judy Martin on my show. I've had a lot of old timers on my show, but I'm mixing mine up a little bit like that, and then go get some T-shirts made up, start selling them on Facebook and YouTube. So
when you do that, you know, we will be glad to promote and help you out on that. So now, you know, Dougie, this is the time that like I want you to just like say hi to everybody. You know, like friends that you have, anybody you can promote even more the podcast. The floor is yours. So you can say hi to anybody, any message to everybody. So there you go. Floor is yours.
Once I thank you guys for letting me be on your show. It was
pleasure.
Privilege. Y'all
it was our pleasure.
Thank you for loving our sport the way you do. I wish there was more people out there that did. And actually, there's a lot of people out there that do that just don't like to admit it. You know, that's what's funny about it. So, but it's weird. God bless you for that. Thank God for every day. Thank God for all the old timers out there still kicking around, still in the guys that know what the word kayfabe means.
We know.
And know how to kayfabe.
Keep it alive.
Keep it alive. That used to be a culture, you know, and now it's a lost culture.
Mine's Pretty Boy Doug Masters kayfabe corn. We keep kayfabe alive. We talk kiz a fizz a tis our kiz arnie, you know. So we start talk old school talk. And my motto is, last of the show is, be good, if not, be good at it. And no one is as good as a pretty boy.
That's right. That's absolutely amazing. So, Road Break family, thank you so very much for watching. And thank you for all the love, for the support. Thank you so very much to Pretty Boy Dog Masters for the opportunity. We hope you enjoyed. He will not be the first time that he's in. We'll have him, you know, you are part of the Road Break family. So anytime you want to be on, you have any news to like share with you, new podcasting, new adventures that you're starting, please come here. The doors will be open for you.
I got an idea. Maybe around the holidays sometime we can show me how to set up a Zoom meeting, and we can do my show and your show combined in a Zoom meeting.
That's fine.
Oh yeah, we definitely do a collaboration. Something.
I know you have a guest on there and stuff. I know how to, like you said, you sent me the link today, and I got on it fine. So I know how to do that. I don't know how to set one up yet. So
well, like we have time, so like we will have plenty of time.
We might
to, like,
we might do something like that. Something different, man. Because there's the thing about podcasts. There's more podcasts out there. There's just about many podcasts out there as there's wrestlers. I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there. It's like some people are saying another wrestling podcast. It's like, I mean.
But there's no better than kayfabe corners, and there's no better than rope break.
Yeah, that's it, brother.
As they can try to duplicate, but they will never.
And then when you put them together, it's like Mega Powers who? No.
Yeah, we will be the Mega Powers.
We might have to do that some holidays thing. Let me plug next July the 5th, Global Reunion, Irving, Texas. It's going to be there, and it's on July the 5th at 3 p.m. Tune in to my podcast. I'm going to be doing my podcast live at that reunion that night.
Well, we will be tuning in. So, Jean-Paul, there's only one thing left to say for us before we say all the social media where they can find us.
On our social media, we have Facebook, The Original Rope Break, Instagram, same thing, Original Rope Break, Twitter, OG Rope Break, and right here on YouTube, The Original Rope Break.
All right, then, Jean-Paul. Thank you so much, Pretty Boy, one more time, and then you and me have one little thing to say. And what is that, Jean-Paul?